you are here at the Democratic National Convention, even though you're a Republican, because I was mentioning to people you're a little bit of a rock star as you're walking up and down Media Row. People want to talk to you. And it's not because Mesa is the third, and you told me soon to be the second largest city in Arizona. It's in the mid-30s somewhere for the country overall. It's because you're a Republican mayor, and you're saying people should vote for Kamala Harris, who's a Democrat.
Right. Yeah, it is getting more attention than I anticipated, frankly.
Yeah.
And it's, this I stepped into this, with a little bit of reluctance because, frankly, for the last 10 years, I've really enjoyed being the mayor of Mesa, partly because it's really a nonpartisan position. And people know I'm a Republican, but on our city council, we've got progressive Democrats and we've got conservative Republicans, and we get along very, very well. And we work very well together because we focus on solving problems, and we sidestep the toxic, polarizing partisan issues as much as we can. So your question is a great one. Well, then why am I here of all places if that's the philosophy that I enjoy, governing with? It's because there are every so often issues and elections that are so compelling that silence is not an option. And I do feel like I owe a duty to my city to speak out on partisan issues when it's in the best interest of my city to do that. We've lived through a Trump presidency. A second such experience would not be what's in the best interest of Mesa, Arizona. And I feel
How
like,
so?
Well, Mr. Trump made a lot of promises when he was running for president, and even while he was in office. But the reality of Infrastructure Week became kind of a joke, frankly. He's a populist. He'll say what people want to hear, but he doesn't back it up. And I don't say that to insult him or to be salacious. It's just my lived experience of having been the mayor during his presidency. And again, I have to say, under the current administration, we've seen quite the opposite. There's been some very substantial federal legislation that's come through, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, the CHIPS Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, that have brought literally, billions of dollars to the state of Arizona. I mean, look at the CHIPS Act, for example. Between TSMC and Intel, and Mesa is receiving a lot of the supply chain economic ripple effect from that investment. Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, I can take out to Mesa Gateway Airport, show you our tower, show you our terminal. All of the, I'm going to ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings every week. And those investments, those private investments, the private capital that's being invested in Mesa is drawn there by the infrastructure that has come as a result of that federal legislation.
Of course, there's a lot of public dollars involved as well. We're talking along the lines of something like $20 billion in public money between loans and grants, and that's a lot of money. So, Mike,
it is, and if it's going to go anywhere, I want it to come to Arizona.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
A little pork has never hurt anybody, I suppose, right? But I was going to ask you what you consider yourself more leaning towards. The branch of the Republican Party is it a fiscal conservative or a social conservative? What? Yeah,
I would say I think I'm in the political middle. The branch of the Republican Party that I probably identify with is the group that Kerry Lake told to get the hell out of the room. I admire John McCain. I believe in a strong defense. I believe socially in preserving individual freedoms. And I am a fiscal conservative, and I believe in personal responsibility. I mean, if we take the classic issues that a Republican believes in, I'm going to check probably 8 or 9 out of 10.
Okay.
So, I don't claim to be the most dyed-in-the-wool best Republican in the history of the party. I'm not a particularly partisan person. But I am a Republican, much to the dismay of a lot of people, I'm afraid.
So then my question would be, where do you see yourself landing more in Kamala Harris's idea of how things should be run? Abortion rights is a huge issue, part of the platform here. But also, we just crossed over $35 trillion in debt.
Right.
So that's, you got the social issues and you've got the fiscal issues that seem to clash.
Right, but this is where I see some hypocrisy in the Republican Party. If you want to analyze where that debt came from, Donald Trump needs to have both hands in the air, right? I mean, and now, to his defense, coming through the pandemic, there was trillions of dollars of federal money that was inserted into the economy to prevent an economic downturn. A good portion of that occurred under a Republican administration. And so we're still recovering. We're seeing the effects of inflation as a result of that. But again, I think Donald Trump is not the poster child for fiscal responsibility. So the Republicans need to own that.
Okay.
And I think in terms of, again, some of the classic Republican issues, one that Republicans are anxious to talk about right now is the border. And I'll be the first to admit that the border is out of control. But what people need to realize is that executive action, things like DACA and some of the changes to the asylum-seeking process that President Biden announced a month or two ago, these executive orders and proclamations are no substitute for congressional action.
Right.
And the only way you're really going to see meaningful improvements at the border is when Congress acts. And we had the opportunity for that to happen just a couple of months ago after months and months of negotiation between Senator Sinema and very conservative Republican Senator Lankford and others. All of the stars aligned. All of the leadership in both parties said, okay, that we can live with this. This is a compromise. Until Donald Trump said, not so fast. I want that divisive, emotional issue front and center when I'm running for president.
I was having lunch with a gentleman today by the name of Chuck Todd, we were talking about Senator Lankford and how he's been censured by local Republicans for simply working with Democrats on trying to come up with this bill. Does there need to be another alternative, like something? Does there need to be a second Republican Party that has room enough in it for the John Giles of this world?
I don't know if that's a real possibility. And the Republican Party that we've known and loved forever always had a far right-wing element to it. I mean, there was always the John Birch, hard right Republicans. But it used to be that the tent was big enough to allow for a John Giles and a Donald Trump follower in the same party. And until the attitude that Kerry Lake verbalized a couple of years ago, and literally we were invited unceremoniously to leave, and I think a lot of people have accepted that invitation. So as a result, what you see in Arizona, there's three political parties, with all the people that have been feel like that they're politically homeless because they don't feel comfortable in a Donald Trump MAGA Republican Party.
Are you going to be homeless as far as an office goes pretty soon?
I will. Yeah, change is good, and so I'm termed out at the end of this year, and that's okay.
Yeah, so no future in the Republican Party seeking any office for John Giles?
Well, like I said, I've really enjoyed city politics because it's nonpartisan, and I'm not sure that there's another similar position for me.
All right. Mayor John Giles, appreciate it. Oh, by the way,
my pleasure.
Regina Romero is going to be joining us, the mayor of Tucson, in a little while. Should I tell her that you said that you're going to overtake the size of her city soon?
The truth hurts sometimes. So yeah.
Okay.
She's got to be okay with it.
Okay. Mayor John Giles of Mesa, a Republican here at the Democratic National Convention.